Hi everyone, welcome back to another stream. Hope you're all doing good. Hi to Nightcrawl and Brilliant as well. And Silenced. Good to see you all. Yes, so today, I know it's a rare thing, but I do occasionally play PSO2 NGS. I know it's unbelievable, but we do actually occasionally play NGS sometimes. So I thought it's been a long time since I've done an NGS stream. And there has been a content update recently with the new, well, I say new, the ruins area from PSO2 added, so I thought I'd do that, show it off to people who haven't seen it, and so you can compare it to the PSO2 area as well. Yeah, I hope you're having a good weekend. So I think the plan is to just grind some ruins and just see how we go from there. Hopefully try and get some of the new 15-star weapon drops as well. Hi Scorpio, good to see you. So what we'll do is we'll get straight into some ruins. I know there is an emergency quest on at the moment, but at the moment the emergency quests, they're only really worth running for some of the orders that you do them for, because they're all kind of low level at the minute. So I mean, we do have Dalian, but he's only level 110. The best you can get from that is a lay-end weapon, which is okay. We've got regular Vile and Steer. We have regular Solus. We can drop Krez weapons, which are not worth using now. And then the regular Dark Falls, which is like level 90, which is way under leveled now. So at the moment, we're kind of waiting for the next urgent quest to get added. There is going to be a new Starless boss, which is like a Starless version of Dark Falls Solus added fairly soon. So that'll probably be the next urgent quest that we sort of focus on. So for now, it does just let us kind of grind on the ruins area. So what we'll do is we'll load it up. It is, I believe it is it a 12-man area? Hi, boy, good to see you. Actually, just let me pull on this daily scratch because I forgot to do it earlier. Right, let's get this loaded and I will show you the ruins area. So for those who've played PSO2 Classic, this is more or less the same area with NGS enemies, and there is a lot more mobility in this area. The quest kind of functions a little bit differently as well, so I'll show you how it works as we go. So it's under this category, Splinter Realm Exploration. So they haven't really given any explanation as to what this area is yet. They've just said it's a different realm. There's a dimensional rift. We don't know why it's here. I'm assuming Story's going to explain that fairly soon. So hopefully we can get some parties, because as I said, the urgent quest is on at the minute, so that might take some people away. Yeah, we got 6 people, or 7, that might fill actually. So this is Ruins. It is very, very recognizable to anyone who's played PSO2. The area is extremely similar. Now, I don't know if they just directly lifted the area from PSO2 or if they remodeled it or anything. But the main difference with this is at the top right of the screen, you can see there's these like boxes, and there's a points box. So the way it works is as you kill enemies, you get points. As you do trials, you get points. And each of these boxes is an ability you can unlock. And these nodes here are where you spend the points that you get. So if I access this, you can see that for 2,500 points, I can increase my red drop rate by 25%. I can increase the amount of PP I recover naturally. I can increase my photon blast charge gauge. I can increase like the Mars battery recovery. You can also increase damage to different types of enemies. And there's also, you can also summon a cannon for a limited amount of time as well. This all costs points that you get by running this. And they're all on a timer as well. So if I spend 2,500 points on this, I'll get 20 minutes of red drop increase. And that'll tick down as we do the quest. At any point, you can go back to these nodes and just refresh them again. There's no time limit or anything for this quest, so you can just run it as much as you want to. And the main reason to farm at the minute is for materials and for the 15-star weapon series. But as this is NGS, obviously NGS is a very mobile game in comparison to PSO2 in terms of like the traversal. So the area is a lot more accessible now. You probably remember from PSO2 Classic that it was... a lot of these areas were just areas you would run through. In NGS, we can kind of ignore a lot of that, and we can just traverse a lot easier. There are also trials that appear every so often. Some of them are new trials to this area as well. And they have actually brought back one of the bosses from PSO2 for this area as well, the Zeshrader, which was the big turtle boss. He appears... I don't know if it's like a special timer for him to appear, but he appears as like a special trial. If you look at the map at the top left, there's like a central room, which never really has anything in it, and that's where Zeshrader normally spawns. But you can see, we've got a lot more mobility in NGS. You can kind of just run around where you want to. You can also go in the water in NGS as well. So it makes it a lot easier to traverse the area. When you don't get stuck on invisible walls. That is a bit of a problem with this area, I will say. Okay, so you can see... So this is a trial called Hunt Rally, which this is a trial that is unique to this area. So for Hunt Rally, it gives you certain types of enemies it wants you to hunt. So it wants me to kill starless enemies, dull enemies, and there's also like gathering nodes on the map, or gathering items that you can find as well to give you bonus points. They are all marked out on the map, so that does make it easier. Also, I don't know if I've played NGS since this, but those who love PSO1, I don't know if you've noticed yet, but I am using Sanguinasha. It feels right. Okay, so every so often it'll highlight these gathering nodes. That's just letting you know that you've got enough points to unlock something. So obviously, as I'm a PSO1 player, I'm obviously going to power points into rare drop boost. I should also, while I'm here, I should use a rare drop ticket as well, really. There we go. We might have a chance of getting something now. So these are some of the pickups you can get. So they give you bonus points, basically. But yeah, this area, it was the subject of a lot of criticism when they announced it, which was very weird at the time, because a lot of people, when this was announced, said that they didn't really want it because they were just porting areas from PSO2. A lot of these being the same people who had complained that there wasn't PSO2 stuff in the game before that. So I'm not really sure how Sega meant to appeal to these people, but... What it's worth, I think it's a pretty fun area overall, and I think it's a good interpretation of this area. It does feel like PSO2, just with the added mobility from NGS. I think the only real criticism I would say, apart from the random invisible walls in places, is I would have liked to see more of the enemies be PSO2 enemies rather than NGS enemies. I get there are reasons for it. And you do get some PSO2 bosses spawning now and again. But it would have been nice to see like some of the normal enemies being more PSO2 classic stuff. But very, very small criticism, really. She looks a lot like Nair. I wonder if she has anything else in common with her. Not particularly. It's just that this character... So this is like my Hunuel from PSO Blue Burst, who was always kind of worn purple, always had purple hair, really. So it's just like a theme she's always had, really. I've not played this class in a long time, so I'm still getting used to it again. I mean, you could make a decent approximation of Nair in this, I think. I know there is a... In PSO2 Classic, at least, I know there is a Nair outfit. And possibly a hairstyle as well. And I think there's camos to make your weapons look like the claws as well. But I don't think they've ever brought them over to NGS. You can obviously use them in NGS. It just won't be as high resolution outfits as the NGS ones. Yeah, this outfit, this just got added recently. It's meant to be like an assassin-themed outfit. I don't know of any assassins that really wear that, but okay. So apparently in the few weeks that I have not played this character, I've become terrible at playing this class, which is fine. Hi, Kenny. Good to see you. Yeah, basically, I realised I haven't played NGS for a long time on stream. I know it's not for everyone when I play it, but I thought now is a pretty good time to, because it's Experience Week on PSO. And realistically, we've just had this update on NGS, which is quite useful for farming stuff. So I thought it kind of kills two birds with one stone. Gets the NGS stream in, and it lets me farm stuff on the side as well, which is useful. We'll just let him do his thing. So I've got a few points, so I should probably go to one of those nodes again soon and get another boost. Yeah, for those who may be new here, I am a NGS official creator. I don't do a massive amount of NGS content. I do focus just on Phantasy Star in general, and I would say more so on PSO1. But I do occasionally do some NGS content, so. Okay, I need to find one of those nodes again so I can. Oh, actually, I'll do this trial first. So this is one of the new trials for this area. It's called Grim Monolith Purge. So there are these monoliths around the map. I think there are currently 3. Actually, no, I think there's 6 on the map in total. And basically, you have to purge the enemies near them so that you can like cleanse these monoliths. And when you've purged them all, they will give you a buff for, I think it's for about 3 minutes. While they're not purged, they will try and nuke you every so often. Yeah, this is like a brand new trial to this area, so it's kind of cool that we've got brand new trials. That's one of the things that I think NGS kind of needed. I think a lot of people are getting sick of doing the same trials over and over again. Yeah, so that one you can see is now purged, so if I run near it, I get a buff. I know another content creator, Milmato, has done some research on this quest recently, and they seem to have concluded that the buff is, it's around a 3-minute buff, and I think it gives you about 10% potency buff, so 10% more damage. And it also gives you, I think it's about 75% damage reduction for about 3 minutes, which is really nice. I do need to be careful with these, because these guys are actually pretty nasty. Although I do still have the damage resistance buff, which is really useful at the minute. Yeah, I will say, I do personally still find NGS a bit too flashy. It was kind of a problem with PSO2 base as well, but it hasn't really changed NGS. I think when there's a lot going on, it can be really hard to keep track of what's actually happening. So I would kind of hope that in the future they would kind of tone down some of the effects. I mean, I've actually toned down the visual effects for a lot of other player characters, and it's still kind of a bit much at times. I mean, these are all pretty minor criticisms, honestly, but it's just something I'd like to see in future. Yeah, what you can see as well is there are elements from the PSO2 map that are featured as well. So we do have this monolith, which I believe in PSO2 base story, I think this was the monolith that sealed Darkfall Zelda. Actually, I think there's a trial. Yes, there is. Let's get another buff as well. We've got a fair few points, so let's increase the rare drop rate a bit more. And let's give me some more damage against the Starless. That'd be nice. Unfortunately, we haven't had Zeshrader yet. It seems that Zeshrader either shows up all the time or never. One thing I'm really not sure on is if the Zeshrader spawn is on a timer, or if you have to complete a certain amount of trials or something to get it to spawn. I haven't really done much research into this quest. But honestly, just being able to come to like a PSO2 area with way more mobility, it's really interesting. And I think it's fairly obvious that I would be very surprised if we didn't get more PSO2 areas at this point. I get the impression that this is probably the first of many. Now, whether you interpret that as Sega trying to pacify PSO2 players, I don't know. There's obviously going to be some kind of story explanation for it, which is probably linked to the Alter Realm spinning story. But yeah, it's just cool that there's a lot of areas in Ruins now that you can go to that you couldn't in PSO2. So we do have a PSO2 boss here. I guess one other thing I'm not a huge fan of with this game is, for a lot of the throwback bosses, they're referred to as what are called ruin bosses. And they've got this weird colour scheme where they're basically all sort of this shiny black colour with like a red outline. And I really don't like it. I think it means that you really can't see any of the detail on the boss. It makes it really hard to sort of see the design of the boss properly. So not really a fan of that. Zeshrader is a bit different though, which we'll get onto if he decides to spawn. Okay, so we've now got, this is another trial that is unique to this area. This is a rare enemy trial. So what this does is it basically fills the map with rare enemies. You can tell when it's on because the sky sort of changed this sort of golden hue. And every single enemy that shows up for the next few minutes, well, for the next 2 minutes or so, or 1 minute 30, will be a gold rare enemy. So if you need money, this is pretty good for that because gold enemies tend to drop money. And they tend to drop just more materials and stuff as well than normal enemies. So really useful. And basically just kill as many as you can until the time runs out. Also, I'm aware that the Xbox Game Showcase is on at the minute. I watched the first, I want to say 15 minutes of it or so before I started the stream. So, you know, if they do decide to just randomly announce PSO3, please let me know. It did look, from what I saw on the showcase, again, I only saw the first sort of 15 minutes or so, it looked like they were being very safe with the games. They were kind of relying on like their big IPs, which I think they kind of need to at the minute for Xbox. Yeah, there's been quite a lot of problems with Xbox recently, so I think kind of relying on your big IPs to carry you for a while is probably a really smart decision. Hi, Ghost Raccoon, good to see you. I mean, I think in like the first 15 minutes there was like a new Gears of War, a new Halo, a new Fable. So you couldn't do this in PSO2, I don't think. You couldn't jump that. I'm sure in PSO2 you had to run around. Yeah, also, I suppose while we're talking about new games, what did everyone think of the Summer Games Fest? If you've seen it. I think on mine, I was reasonably impressed with it. I don't think there was anything that sort of blew me away, but there was a lot of quite solid games. You know, some very good picks that you know are going to be pretty decent games. And I think the saving Final Fantasy VII Revelation for the last game is probably a very, very smart thing to do, given that Jeff Keighley seems to curse every single game he introduces. New Virtua Fighter and new Crazy Taxi game shown 2 days in a row. I'm in heaven right now. Have they actually shown footage for the Crazy Taxi game? Because I saw Virtua Fighter at the Summer Games Fest. Have they just shown footage for Crazy Taxi as well? Oh, nice. I need to look at that. How does it look? Is it looking good? Because I am so down for a new Crazy Taxi. Honestly, I feel like Sega are kind of on a roll at the minute. It does feel like a resurgence of Sega, which is really good to see. I'm not suggesting they're ever going to come back to the hardware side, but at least in the gaming side, it seems like they're doing really well at the minute. Another financial reports were maybe not the best, but it seems like they're investing a lot into the gaming. Trail looked pretty good. Nice. I'll have to watch it after stream. What was it announced on? Was it on the Xbox showcase, or was it like a totally separate thing they announced it on? Because I totally missed that. Xbox show, okay. Do we know, does it have a PC release? Because I know there were a few games that were Xbox exclusives. If it has a PC release, I'm so down. It does feel like they are going back to a lot of their legacy IPs now. I mean, obviously we know they've been working on, you know, Crazy Taxi, Virtua Fighter. We know that they're also doing something with Golden Axe, Streets of Rage. They've also announced a Streets of Rage movie. There is a lot going on with Sega at the minute. It's on PC as well, nice. Yeah, I'll probably just play it on PC, I think. I think for me now, it's quite a big commitment for me to buy a new console. I can't see me ever buying a Xbox console. Well, not the current one anywhere. Perfect Trail song. Well, All I Want by The Offspring. I mean, it has to be, doesn't it? I think we've got another hunt trial, actually, so I should probably try and find some of the enemies it wants me to find. There we go. Yeah, I am very, very glad to see Sega going back to a lot of their old IPs, particularly the ones that have laid dormant for a while. Now all we need is for them to remember Phantasy Star. I know we have NGS, but could we have a Phantasy Star RPG? Please, thank you. The answer to that is probably never, because they seem just intent on Persona. Which I'm not against. I have nothing against Persona. But I would like some Phantasy Star at some point. Totally missed that jump. I'm sure there'll be something that seems to be very interesting in all our IPs this decade. Yeah, it's been like a big strategy they've been doing for the last few years, where they've been focused on a lot of the legacy stuff. There was also something they announced, I think it was called Sega Universe, where they were basically saying that they were going to do things for games that were celebrating anniversaries. It would have been nice for them to do this last year when PSO had a 25th anniversary, but, you know. Having said that, though, Phantasy Star is 40 next year, so maybe we might get something then. I will keep coping. Right, give me some more damage to Doll's enemies as well. And altars, I guess. Yeah, it's really good to see some of the IPs, particularly like I said, the ones that have been dormant for, in some cases, since the 90s. Nice to see them getting some love again. Because if anything, as well as appealing to the people who played the originals, it's nice to sort of introduce these franchises to new players as well. So, you know, if you take a franchise like Golden Axe, I mean, I don't know when the last Golden Axe game was. I'm guessing it wasn't one of the Mega Drive ones, because I'm sure there was probably some terrible, slightly later ones, but even with those, it's probably been decades since a Golden Axe game. Well, I will say on Golden Axe, controversial opinion, I don't think Golden Axe is that good. To me, Golden Axe always just felt like a worse Streets of Rage. It's still fine, it's still fun with, you know, with friends, but I just don't think it was anywhere near as good as Streets of Rage. Golden Axe feels like a bit of a Streets of Rage. Yeah, I mean, I know people love Golden Axe, and, you know, I will fire up Golden Axe every so often, you know, and do a run, of course I will, but... Oh, we've got another PSO2 boss. Again, so this is another Ruin enemy, so you can see, again, it's got this, like, black colour scheme. And again, you just can't really see a lot of the detail. I mean, you can't really see a whole lot of anything because there's just enemies all over the place, but... yeah, as for reasons why you would want to run this, it is very good for just gathering materials in general. It seems to drop most of the materials that you need for upgrades. But it can also drop... there is a new weapon series called the Gran Illusion series, which are 15-star. And Sega have done something interesting with the 15-star weapons. So normally with weapon drops in this game, they normally drop at plus 60 grind with no augments or anything. And what they've done with this is they've made it so there is a small chance, if you get a 15-star weapon drop, there is a small chance it'll drop already grinded to 100 and already with all of its augments on. which is very, very nice because one of the things I really do not like about this game is the process of upgrading weapons. It is a complete chore to do. It just takes forever because it's a very repetitive process. For those who don't know how it works, you basically use up to, I think it's 10 materials at a time. You basically select 10 materials, use some grinders and add it to your weapon. That will increase the grind of your weapon. Rinse and repeat that over and over again until you get to plus 100. It takes a long time, and it's just not interesting. So having weapons that can already drop maxed out is very, very nice. Now, the augments they drop with, they are good, but they're not best in slot augments, so you can still sort of refine the weapons to make them better. And I believe they don't have their potentials unlocked either as well, so you still have to get that. But I almost see it as... Yeah, I almost kind of see it as Sega almost acknowledging that the grinding system in this game is kind of broken. Which it is. So we got another rare enemy hunt, so loads of gold enemies again. Yeah, honestly, the mobility in this game is crazy. It does bug me the amount of invisible walls there is, though. Sometimes you just get stuck on random stuff. It's very annoying. They have also increased the level cap with this update as well, so you can now go to level 120. Weirdly though, this is one of the only games where it feels like the higher level you get, the faster you level. It's very weird. So with the way it is at the moment, when the level cap gets upgraded, it normally gets increased by about 5 levels usually at a time. And you level so fast in this game that you can usually get to cap in, well, no time at all. Well, to give you an idea, when I started this stream, I think I can't remember if I was 116 or around there, maybe even 115, and I'm 118 now, so it's very quick. It's almost like level just doesn't really matter in this game. I kind of feel that with NGS, the thing they're going for is just getting people into the action as quick as possible and making it a game you can just play really casually if you want to. There's no like massive grind needed. If you want to get best in slot stuff, then yeah, you might have to grind a bit, but it's kind of designed so that you can just get playing and doing the later stuff straight away. So the majority of the trials that you get in this will just be these ones to defeat enemies. The special trials seem to be on some sort of timer, so it seems like every few minutes you'll get either the golden enemy spawn or the monolith trial. I don't know the specifics of how it works. Generally just run around, kill stuff, and things will happen. But what I really like about this area as well is the fact that there's no time limit or anything. There's no sort of quest point limit. There is no sort of end goal to this quest. You just literally join it and run it for as long as you want to, and then abandon out when you're finished. It would be nice if I get a weapon drop. I've had a few of the 15 stars drop so far, but none this stream so far. Oh, and just to reiterate the point of this game being easy to get into, recently they've also given these weapons out. So this Epith Irini blades and the Epith Irini boots, these are just 14 star weapons with augments and everything on that they just give you for free. I think you only have to get level 65 and they give you them for free. So it's a very, very generous game, really. I should probably actually put those boots on my pull actually, because they are better than the ones I have. Yeah, they do this quite often. There is also, I don't know if I've got it on this character, but I don't think I do. Occasionally they give armor sets out as well with augments on. Again, it's never best in, never best in slot augments, but they're kind of good enough to get you started. It does feel like maybe they've remixed the theme for this as well. It feels very similar to the PSO2 Classic version of the Ruins theme, but occasionally there are elements of it that feel maybe like they've been rearranged. Whether they actually have or not, I don't know. Okay, we've got another hunt. So you can see it shows you the target enemies. Okay, I did get a rare. That is probably a skill ring, I imagine. Yeah, this area is also fantastic for getting ring drops if you need rings. Which, if you know how the skill ring system works, it's really important to get loads of rings, because you use duplicate rings to level up the ones you've got. Right, do we have any more target enemies? Or any pickups I can grab to help? Well, there's a few. I like how ridiculously busted the hitboxes in that move. It is way bigger than the actual move. Yeah, I know I don't stream NGS that often, but I thought this seems like a good time to do it. And probably interesting for those who play PSO2 Classic more. It is quite interesting looking at this area and seeing the differences in it between PSO2 Classic and NGS. A lot of it is mainly just the mobility in NGS making it a lot easier to traverse. From what I can tell as well, I think the map layout is the same every time we load it. So it's not like PSO2 where the map is randomized every time. And I think the reason for that is because the special boss spawns in the middle. Although he hasn't spawned once yet. Which is typical. First day I did this, he spawned quite a few times within about 20 minutes. And then the next time I did it, he didn't spawn. I think we are due for him, I think. I believe this area can also drop the Lexio weapons, which are the Legend 4 series weapons. but they are very rare. I've never had one of those, so... So you can see, as we do this quest, these bars do tick down over time. So these are like a timer. So I have a 25% red boost for the next 47 minutes. So every now and again, I'll need to refresh that. And that's like the incentive to keep running it. Yeah, I think if we just sort of pivot back to the Summer Games Fest. What ship do I play? I play on ship 2. Yeah, ship 2 on global. Hi, PK, good to see you. Yeah, if we just go back to the Summer Games Fest. So, I think one of the weirdest things for me was... It was partly what Sega did. So, they obviously had the announcement for the 35th anniversary of Sonic. I kind of thought they might show a new Sonic game, like a new main Sonic game. But instead we got a Sonic-themed version of Pico Park, which will probably be fun, but... And it was mainly just to go for the next season of characters for Crossworlds. Now, Crossworlds is fantastic. Twitch frame rate does not like this game. It doesn't. Yeah, that is one of the issues of streaming NGS. Yeah, Twitch does not like it. There's unfortunately not a lot I can do about it either, because you're limited to a certain bitrate on Twitch. I mean, you are on YouTube as well, but YouTube's is a much higher limit. It's just because NGS is a really flashy game and there's a lot going on. It just doesn't contribute well to being streamed, generally. Speaking of which, that was a big problem on the Summer Games Fest streams as well. I don't know if anyone else had the same problem, but for me, the Twitch stream was just constantly running at like 10 FPS whenever action happened, and the YouTube stream was like massively audio desynced. Okay, so we've got the special boss to spawn finally. So this is Ruin Shredder, he's called in this. You probably recognize this guy from PSO2. Now, interestingly, this guy, he is a rune enemy, but he's not the normal black coloration. And he's called Ruin Shredder Lambda. So he's like a special version. So I don't know what's going on with that at the minute. They haven't really explained it. But it seems like it is just Shredder from PSO2. He does have new moves, though. This has a lot more health. The way you fight him is basically the same as PSO2. Where you work on his legs and make him stagger. Xbox was okay. We got a new Castlevania trailer, Crazy Taxi, new Spyro, Persona 4, and 6 announcements. Also, they announced Persona 6. Of course they did. Phantasy Star misses out again. I mean, I guess it was kind of expected because I think is it the 30th anniversary of Persona? Yeah, Pika, this area it's originally from PSO2. They've basically ported it over to NGS. You obviously have the added mobility of NGS. And the way the quest works is a little bit different. That is not where I want to target, but whatever. But yeah, I need to watch the Crazy Taxi trailer. He does do a lot of damage. One thing I have noticed with this boss is a lot of people seem to really not know how to fight it. Which is weird because it's the same method as PSO2. Once you broke his leg arm out like this, you basically attack his legs and then he falls over. They got him that time. Like PSO 1 and 2, but NGS doesn't click for me. Yeah, it's a very divisive game. A lot of people don't vibe with it, which is totally fine. It's not for everyone. For me, I like NGS. I don't think it's a game that, you know, let's say in, you know, 10, 15 years, I don't think I'm going to be rushing to look for private service for it, but, you know. Now, I did get a drop there. What is it? Okay, I got one of the 15-star weapons, so I got the Grand Illusion Knuckles. Unfortunately, they're just plus 60, so we didn't get the rare plus 100. But we got something. Persona 6 is very different. It looks more like a horror game than the usual 3 to 5. I have never played a Persona game. Like, I should probably change that at some point, but... Oh, you got Lexio Blade yesterday. Nice one. That is very, very rare. Yeah, I have not had a single Lexio weapon drop yet. Did it drop in Ruins, or was it from Malignant Luther? That's one thing I have not really done, Malignant Luther, because I am not good enough for that. Yeah, congrats on the Lexio though. That is a very hard to get drop. The song gives you PS0 vibes. I get that, yeah. Yeah, I mean the music that's playing here is from PSO2 as well. Essentially, the only explanation we got for this area so far is that some kind of dimensional rift has opened. We've had similar in the past with the Altar Realm. They're explicitly referring to this as something different though, so they're referring to this as a Splinter Realm, not the Altar Realm. Whether it's connected to the Altar Realm, I have no idea. But basically, it's a dimensional rift. We've gone through it and we've ended up here, and no one in NGS knows where this is. Obviously, it looks like Nibirius Ruins from PSO2. But whether it is or whether it's like a simulation, I don't know. It could be that the Starless have recreated it, because, you know, you can see from the Altar Realm that they are trying to sort of recreate areas on Halpha. So it could be even that the Starless have managed to replicate this, or have found records of it or something. I'm quite interested to see where the story goes, now that we're actually going somewhere. It only took 5 years. More content is welcoming. It's been better lately. It does feel like they've heard some of the concerns of the player base and they are trying to fix things. I think I would say that if you tried NGS at launch and didn't vibe with it, maybe give it another shot. Because there is a lot more to it now. It feels like it's been worked on quite a bit. There are still issues for sure, but it feels like it's in a much better place now. Should add some universe maps. I mean, it's the 20th anniversary of PSU soon. A couple of months, actually. Oh, Zeshruda spawned again. So having not spawned for like God knows how long, he's now spawned twice in a row, more or less. Right, do we have a ranger that can use light rounds? That would be very, very nice. I'm guessing no. Do we have one? No, we don't. Okay. In that case. Yeah, I'd be down for them to add some PSU stuff. I mean, I don't know if they'll do anything for PSU's 20th anniversary. Obviously, they did a bit for PSO's 25th, but I know a lot of people started the franchise with the universe, and I know it is kind of beloved by a lot of people as well. But I just don't know if Sega see it the same way. God, this guy takes so much longer when you don't have a ranger. Yeah, I think the anniversary for PSU, I think the Japanese release was for August time, I think. And then, you know, Western was later in the year. I remember when PSU launched, because obviously I'm based in the UK. I remember when it launched, and obviously the Japanese version had launched a few months beforehand, and then the US version launched, and for some reason they just kind of decided to just delay it a bit in Europe. So it launched a bit later again in Europe, even though we were using the same servers. So thankfully I had a friend who lived in Canada at the time, and he basically bought a copy of PSU, shipped it over to me. I paid him for it, just so I could get on PSU at the same time as some of my friends. I'll tell you what, I'm going to use Mars, actually. Right, let's see if I can get this. He might not stay there long enough. Stay there. Thank you. I think they have just buffed Mars recently as well. So what they normally do with this is they increase the potency, so the damage of it, based on what your battle power is, and every now and again they give it a further boost depending on what your current battle power is. So as long as your character is reasonably strong, Mars will keep getting stronger as well, which is a nice way to keep it relevant. It is also very useful for this area as well, because whenever you go in the water in this area, you start swimming, and the swimming is kind of slow. But if you're in Mars, you can just kind of glide over the water, which is nice. Oh, we got another drop. Ah, it's just a ring drop this time. It is a good ring, though. We take that. Okay, I have loads of points again, so I should probably spend some of them. More rare drop rate. No, you can't attack me while I'm trying to spend more points. Yeah, some of the Sonic Racing Cross Worlds collabs that they announced were insane. For those who didn't see it, they're collaborating with Godzilla and was it Evangelion as well? It is very weird. Well, having said that, I feel Neon Genesis Evangelion has basically been in everything recently. It feels like they're really whoring that license out at the minute. I feel like almost every game I played has had a collab with them at some point. I'm trying to think, though, of what games were announced in Games Fest that I'm actually interested in. There was a new Gundam game announced actually, which actually looked pretty interesting. It kind of reminded me of sort of an Armored Core Gundam. Some people said it reminded them of God Eater as well. So that looked kind of interesting. I'm not really a big fan of the Gundam design in it, but it at least looked interesting. Sonic was vibing with Godzilla in the Rumble game, and we'll have a comic crossover. Oh, I guess the other obvious one I'm interested in is the expansion for Monster Hunter Wilds. Also, thank you for the follow, Murata Saika. Much appreciated. Gundam looks Americanized. Yeah, maybe. It's a very weird game, that, though, because it kind of looked like the Gundam was fighting, I don't know if it was like aliens or if it was like robotic animals or something. It was very strange. I didn't see any other mobile suits in it. Yeah, the Monster Hunter Wilds expansion looks pretty good. Obviously, you'll know if you've watched me for a while that I had a lot of problems with Wilds. There was obvious performance issues a lot of people had, but I just never really felt like the game was that appealing. It just, for me, it felt like there wasn't really a whole lot to do in it. I know they added more content updates later, which probably fixed some of it. But I just kind of fell off that game hard and never really went back to it. So I'm very glad to see an expansion. Hopefully it solves some of the issues it had. I'm already just starting to theorize what monsters might be in the expansion. I just want it to be good. I loved Monster Hunter World. Absolutely adore that game. And even Rise and Sunbreak were pretty decent. I mean, more Sunbreak than Rise, but... yeah, I don't know. I just found Wilds to be a bit of a disappointment. So I'm really, really hoping that the expansion does some things to solve that. It is probably a long way off, though. I think they just said it was 2027. I don't think they've pinned down a date yet. Or even a quarter of the year. Yeah, very happy to see it. It feels like Capcom were putting a lot of games in as well, because we had the Monster Hunter Wilds expansion. We had what else? There was was it the remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica as well? Again, I'm not into like Resident Evil. I don't really do like horror games at all. But I know that game, it'd been rumored that was going to be remade for a long time. Oh, and of course there was the Street Fighter 6 announcement as well, wasn't there? Of Tifa from Final Fantasy VII being in Street Fighter. Which, I mean, she fits well. I will say that I'll be very disappointed if she doesn't attack with a dolphin. And obviously the FF7 remake looked pretty good as well. I mean, that's kind of to be expected. I'd be very surprised if that looked bad. That is one series I do need to play more of at some point. I played probably about half of the FF7 remake, the first part of it. And then I think something else released. I don't know if it was Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak. And I got totally distracted from it and never went back to it. So I really should finish that game at some point and then play the others.
Success.
You're hyped with this combat, but then you saw the prices and my hype kind of died. admittedly I've not looked at the price of it. I can only imagine. I've never really played an Ace Combat game. I mean, they always look pretty cool. I think I've had like Ace Combat, was it 7? Wishlisted on Steam for God knows how long and just never bought it. It looks fun. Another invisible wall there. Yeah, I don't know the lore for Ace Combat or anything, so I'm very much out of the loop with that series. I swear, every time I try doing that, they die just before it hits. I think I'd be like that as well, Pika. I think if I played Ace Combat, I would probably just crash constantly. But yeah, I guess overall I was pleasantly surprised with the Summer Games Fest. Okay, it's going to take a lot to completely blow me away. That has really not happened very often. I think, I want to say the last time I was like completely blown away was probably E3 2019 when PSO2 got announced for the West. Because I had written that off completely. I just thought that is never going to happen. I'd been on the Japanese server for years and thought there is no reason for them to bring it to the West now. So that was a very weird moment. That's probably the only time I've really completely lost my mind to announce like a game announcement. Just because of how unlikely it seemed. Yeah, I think it was still a very strong show overall. But I definitely want to see that Crazy Taxi trailer after the stream. I'm very, very excited about that. The only thing that will blow everyone's mind is a new Half-Life. I mean, I guess they technically did a new Half-Life, didn't they? But it was it the VR one, Half-Life Alyx? Which is probably not what people meant.
Success.
Looks like fun to play. Yeah, I've only played a few things in VR. I do have a VR headset. It's only a MetaQuest 2. I used to have a HTC Vive years ago. But I don't know, VR's a weird thing for me because the first time I got a VR headset was the HTC Vive. And I bought it and then it just felt like there was really not much to do for it. A lot of the games at the time just felt like glorified tech demos. It was basically glorified tech demos and VR chat. Later on, I sold the Vive after a while and then eventually got a MetaQuest 2, I think it was. And I still didn't really buy a whole lot. I mean, there is some interesting VR games, but I feel like it's largely a very underused and kind of overlooked platform. In terms of, I just don't feel like a lot of devs have put much resources into VR. I mean, I think for me, I think VR is, as a concept, very cool. But I think it depends so much on the game or whatever you're playing, the game or whatever experience you're doing. Because the problem with VR is if you have a VR product that doesn't perform well, like technically, it can be actually physically uncomfortable to play, which is a real problem. The amount of games I've tried in VR that have made me feel physically sick is a problem. I think it's going to be hard to have actual games. Like, imagine NGS and VR, it's not going to work. Yeah, NGS and VR, you would just get horrifically sick immediately. They would have to like completely rework it. So it looks like we've only got 6 people in the minute, so if no more join after this trial, I might reload the map. AI will solve all the lack of VR content. Oh, great.
Success.
Alright, yeah, we can restart because there's only about 6 people in at the minute. I'm gonna go see you. Ah, no worries, Picker. Good to see you. It's interesting you mentioned AI, Stephen. You probably know if you've been following some of my posts, but Sega were actually experimenting with using VR in this game. Sorry, not VR, AI. So they were bringing in a thing called MAI. So it was Mag AI. And it was basically a way that you were going to be able to talk to your mag and ask it. I think the idea was that you could ask your mag questions about the game and it would like suggest things. Which is kind of like, it's an interesting idea, and I guess for a new player, it maybe helps to signpost them. They added it and then they pulled it almost immediately because apparently it wasn't behaving as expected. I don't know what exactly they mean by that, but it's been pulled already. They are apparently going to try and implement it again soon, but I don't know when. Hi, Jack, good to see you. Yeah, we're just about to load up another run of ruins, so... So yeah, the Mag AI is on pause for now. It's kind of annoying because I did want to do a video on it, but I need to wait for them to try and implement it again. Okay, we've got 11 people now, so... Yeah, so Drac, I don't know how much of the stream you've seen, but yeah, we now have ruins in NGS. But it's ruins with NGS traversal, so I can go basically wherever I want to. Which includes swimming. Oh, we got the rare monster trial straight away, actually. Been keeping up with Chrono Trigger, just got here. Yeah, Chrono Trigger has been really fun. I've been really enjoying that playthrough so far. I am terrible at the game, but... Better Nameless City, but it's PSO2. I mean, it works sort of similar to Nameless. I think the main differences is, first of all, in this area, there's no time limit. So you can just run this for as long as you want to. I think in Nameless, it was like a 15-minute time limit. Where this, you just run it for as long as you want and then just go back to a town when you want to. So it's just a good farming area. There is the 15-star weapon drops here, which are partly for the EX3 abilities, but also they are actually usable as well. Sometimes they'll add these weapons where they have EX abilities on them, but they're kind of throwaway weapons that are not really worth using. You just use them to salvage the abilities from. But these 15 stars are actually usable. I don't know if you saw as well, Drac, but I do have Sango and Yasha now as well. The only problem with this weapon is with the, well, it's a problem with all of the Ash weapons, the PSO weapons. When you start a quest, they're terrible because they use way more PP for the photon arts, but they give you more damage and everything as well. And I think it's after every 250 PP that you use, you get 50 more max PP. So after a while, you end up with like a ridiculous amount. You end up with like over 500, and it becomes really, really good. But it kind of takes a while to get going. Is Psycho Wand still strong and relevant? So Psycho Wand, you know how NGS is, so all the weapons in this series will have the same ability. So it has the same ability as this, so it will use more PP than normal. It will get stronger. It does give you extra bonuses depending on what your max PP is as well. Yeah, it's just how NGS is, isn't it? So because all the PSO weapons are the Ash series of weapons, they all have the same potentials. As for whether they're relevant, they're not the strongest weapons in the game anymore, but they are still up there. So there is a series of weapons called Lexio, which I believe is... So it's one of the legend weapons, and the legend weapons in NGS are based on predominantly PSO2 weapons. I think Lexio is based on... And forgive me if I'm wrong on this, but was there a weapon series in PSO2 called Fluxio? So I think it's based on those. They are probably the strongest weapons in the game at the minute. At the moment, they only drop from either Malignant Luther or from here. Well, I did just get a 14-star armor, so that's something. Yeah, so I think the Lexio weapons are the strongest at the moment. And then it's either the Ash weapons or the new 15 stars. There are PSO2 bosses here as well, by the way. Draco, just haven't seen any yet. So from what I've seen, you tend to get... Ringardus tends to show up here a lot. You tend to get Hunar. He shows up. And the main boss is Zeshrader. It's actually like a proper Zeshrader, not a weird one. I mentioned this a bit earlier, if you didn't see, Drac, but... So the Zeshrader in this area, it is called Ruin Shrader, but it's Ruin Shrader Lambda. So it's got like a lambda symbol after it. And it's the same coloration as the Zeshrader from PSO2. So you've probably seen a lot of the Rune enemies where they've got like the black coloration to them. Zeshrader doesn't have that. It looks like the PSO2 Zeshrader. I think the only difference on it is the weak cores on it. I think the cores are yellow instead of red. I think that's just an NGS thing because all weak point cores on bosses in NGS are usually yellow. So that is probably just for consistency. But yeah, it looks like the PSO2 Zeshrader. He has new moves though as well. I mean, he does fight very similar to Zeshrader from PSO Classic, PSO2 Classic, but he does have his own new stuff as well. It's a reasonably fun fight. He only spawns now and again though. Low accurate Zeshrader. I mean, I showed it off a bit earlier. It's kind of still the same deal, so you fight him very much like PSO2, where you focus on his legs to make him fall over. It's Zeshrader, you know? But it's just very interesting that although it's a Ruin Zeshrader, it's got the same coloration as the PSO2 one, unlike every other Rune enemy. So there is something going on with it, and the fact it's called Ruin Shrader Lambda. Just need him to spawn now because he's not showing up again. Also, I have a lot of points as well. I should probably spend some. Yeah, so the way this mission works, just for anyone who didn't see it at the start, you've got these points around the map and you get points as you kill stuff. You spend the points on unlocking these abilities, and these are on a timer, so they tick down over time. So it's basically an incentive to keep doing it. So you can boost your rare drop rate, I can boost my damage to starless enemies, and that spends all the points I've got so far. So then I go and kill more enemies, then I can get more buffs. It's quite a cool area. I think the most interesting thing for me with this area is just seeing how it differs from PSO2. Because, you know, it's very obviously a PSO2 area, but it feels like NGS in terms of the enemies you're fighting. A lot of the basic enemies are NGS enemies because it is mainly starless. Then you have these little tweaks here and there that just make it feel a little bit different. And I'm still interested to see what the lore implications are of this area. I believe the next story update is... I want to say, is it August? So that might go into it a bit more. Yeah, Jack, we were mainly talking about the Summer Games Fest, so I guess since you're here, we should probably talk Guild Wars 3 as well. I still haven't seen the stream they did after the Summer Games Fest, so I probably need to watch that at some point. I know you put on the Discord that apparently they're committing to Guild Wars 1 and 2 more as well. Which I'm very happy to see if that is the case. It is kind of insane, isn't it? Particularly for Guild Wars 1, you know. I know, I mean, Reforged is, I guess, technically a new game, kind of. But it is great to see that they're continuing to support those games. There's new content coming for both, nice. I mean, I probably won't bother with Guild Wars 2. That game, I don't know what it was about it, I just never could get into Guild Wars 2 for some reason. But I'm very down for more Guild Wars 1 content. I know we haven't played it a great deal lately, but yeah, particularly if we're getting new content, I'm down. I think what's crazy as well is it is a pretty small team, really, particularly for Guild Wars Reforged anyway. So it's insane that they're committing to it that much. It's honestly refreshing. I mean, that would be like Sega committing to supporting PSO officially. I mean, that's never going to happen, we know that. We've got to finish factions as we do. We just need a time where everyone can get online at the same time. Right, give me more red drop rate because I'm simple. I see red drop rate. I get excited. Yeah, as for what they showed for Guild Wars 3 with the trailer, I don't know if they showed anything else in the stream they did later. I don't know how I feel about it from the trailer they showed. It looks sort of it was like very, very colourful, and it reminded me a lot more of Guild Wars 2 than Guild Wars 1. I think what was interesting though is, didn't they mention that it was in AWE? So if it's in AWE, does that mean it's like a prequel to Guild Wars? I mean, I don't know what happens in Guild Wars 2, so maybe something happens in Guild Wars 2 I'm not aware of. It is a prequel, okay. It's set when the gods were in AWE, okay. So I'm guessing that would mean if it was set in AWE, then maybe no Char? Because I think, were they after that? We've got the Monolith trial again. I mean, obviously, it's very early to say, I guess, isn't it? You know, they could add anything, I suppose. You know, I mean, they could even retcon stuff potentially, but Yeah, I'm interested in it. I'll definitely keep an eye on it and keep up to date with it. Yeah, I love Guild Wars 1. I know I've only really played Prophecies, but I love that. And maybe that's why they did Guild Wars Reforged, to build up interest again in the franchise, to get them ready for Guild Wars 3. It makes a lot of sense. It was kind of funny though, because it wasn't just Guild Wars that got announced as well, for like MMOs, because there was it Ion 2 got announced as well? I never played the original Ion, but I remember it being around. Just weird with like all these old titles coming back again. It's late 2027. Yeah, I mean, I suppose it's difficult, isn't it? Because I guess if it's late 27, when would you ideally announce it? I mean, I guess maybe you could do, if it was late 27, I guess maybe they could have announced it at something like Tokyo Game Show, like later in 26. It's sort of trying to tie it in with an awards ceremony, isn't it? I would imagine that ArenaNet are probably just going to do their own streams, so I would have thought. I'm guessing we'll get regular updates on what's going on. But yeah, very excited to see what they do with that. I suppose the good thing is, with it being late 2027, it gives us time to actually beat factions. If we don't beat it by late 27, there's a serious problem.
Success.
Yeah, I didn't watch it yet, Drac, but apparently the Xbox Showcase announced, well, apparently showed off some stuff for the new Crazy Taxi, so I definitely want to watch that after the stream. By then, we'll hopefully be done with all the campaigns and Eye of the North. I mean, hopefully by then, yeah. I'm really surprised we haven't had Zeshrader spawn again. This happened in the first run we did, though. He didn't spawn for ages, and then he spawned more or less twice in a row. It's been 84 years. Hiya, Blade, I got to say. It may as well have been 84 years since I've streamed NGS. I just thought with the ruins update for NGS, maybe it was worth doing it so that people who haven't seen it can see it.
Success.
I mean, it is very similar to the PSO2 area.
Trial start.
I don't know what it is about Hunar in this game. For some reason, he just feels way more squishy than a lot of the bosses. He kind of gets deleted. I feel bad for him. They should have brought the OG announcer for the trials. Yeah, I will agree, the NGS announcer does kind of fall a bit flat. We need the hype man from PSO2. Come on, Zesh, where are you? It looks like quite a big map, but it actually feels kind of small. But I think because you can run so quickly with the boost pads and everything that you can traverse it very quickly. In reality, it's probably about the same size as PSO2. It's just because you can move so much quicker in this game. Just watch the Crazy Taxi trailer. Looks good. I'm so glad to hear it. I would have been very sad if they let us down for Crazy Taxi. I'm still going to cope for 2027 for Phantasy Star. I should specify, I don't think, even in 2027, I don't think we'll get a replacement for NGS. But I'd like to see something. The franchise is 40 next year. It needs something. Yeah, the Japanese OG Xbox version of the game. The box is in glitter gold. Yeah, for me, I've only really played Crazy Taxi at a friend's house years and years ago. So again, I didn't have a Dreamcast when I was younger. I had like one friend who had a Dreamcast. We need NGS to be episode 7. There was someone, I think they were trying to do a petition for that. They tried like setting up a petition on like change.org or something. Like, and it was basically like cancel NGS and make PSO2 episode 7. Like, unfortunately, dude, I don't think that's going to happen. I think the problem with that is there's just not a whole lot you can do with the PSO2 story after episode 6. I mean, I guess the only place you could go to really would be if you brought in the Great Light. Because you've literally defeated Profound Darkness at the end, so I don't know what else you could do with it. Come on, Zesh Raider. They could always start over. They could. I almost feel though if they started over, they kind of have to start with a new game entirely. I just don't know where you go from, you know, from defeating Profound Darkness. You know, Profound Darkness is kind of like the big bad of the series, isn't it? So it's kind of hard to top that. I mean, ultimately, they can do anything. You know, they could retcon anything at any time. Interestingly, speaking of PSO2 Classic, though, there was a very weird thing on the last NGS headline. So, as you'll be very much aware, like PSO2 Classic has not had any content updates, more or less. Well, since all the stuff got added after launch, you know, once you got the new episodes and everything. it doesn't get kept up to date now because the content updates are for NGS. But on the last NGS headline, they announced, which seems super random, that the battle mode in PSO2, so the PvP, they're changing the weapons that are going to be in the battle mode in the different areas. So they're essentially updating battle mode. It's very weird. I don't know how many people play battle mode, but it's super weird to see PSO2 getting something. Right, do we have a trial? We do. Feels so messy now, just stay for 0 with a single player game. I mean, I would be down for them to do a single player Fantasy Star.
Trial start.
Again, though, I suppose if they did that, it couldn't really be connected too much to the original quadrilogy, unless it was like a prequel to the first one or something. Because again, it kind of gets resolved after 4. Unless they find the Great Light or something, and then you have to take care of that. But I almost wouldn't want them to do anything following 4, because I feel like 4 is pretty much perfect. Yes, I will glaze Fantasy Star 4 every time I get now. I'm so happy I played that.
Success.
But yeah, I suppose we haven't had like a single player Fantasy Star in a very, very long time. I guess the series just, for the most part, moved over to the online games. I thought this was OG PSO2 for a minute. It kind of has that vibe. There is a very good reason for that, Void Money. This is a PSO2 area. Yeah, they've just added this to NGS recently. But this was an area that was originally in PSO2 Classic. So yeah, that is why it feels very familiar. I hope you're doing good as well.
Trial start.
Unfortunately, not had many good drops so far. Yeah, yeah, definitely a reason. I said they haven't explained like why it exists in NGS or anything. Obviously, NGS takes place on a different planet to PSO2, so they haven't really given a reason as to why it exists yet. They've just said it's kind of some realm that's appeared in a dimensional rift, but we don't know why the rift's appeared or anything. I think if they did a single player game, which they should not continue with the original story but make it a spiritual successor. Yeah, I'd be okay with that. Oh, we got Zeshrader finally. He does exist. But yeah, there you go, Drax. Say it looks like PSO2 Zeshrader. It's not like the ruin colors. So there's something up with this guy. I'm glad they kept his music as well, because I do quite like Zeshrader's theme. Yeah, the fight works very, very similar to the PSO2 fight. You basically just work on his legs, try and get him to collapse. It's basically Zeshrader just with a new lick of paint, essentially. You know, he has a few new moves. Like, he creates little shockwaves when he stamps now. His missiles act a little bit differently, but it's very, very similar to the PSO2 Zeshrader. He's way more tanky than PSO2 though. Like, he has a lot of health. He actually does quite a lot of damage as well. You can see he's got a yellow weakness core there. And again, I think that's just because of NGS. I think people who maybe started with NGS just kind of associate yellow with the weak point. So that's probably why they've kept that as a yellow core. I know his head is red, but I think unlike PSO2's Ash Red, you can't normally target his head in NGS. You can only target his head at specific points of the fight. So when he sticks his head out the shell, for example, you can target it now and you can see it's gone yellow now. But when he's just walking around, you can't target his head in NGS. You have to focus on his legs or his like main body. Yeah, apart from that, it's very, very, very familiar if you've played PSO2. Which I'm okay with, because I don't think they should change the PSO2 bosses too much. You know, people want them there as a throwback to PSO2. So keeping them very similar is a good move, I think. I will say that attack he does with his claws, I don't think I've ever seen him hit anyone with it. Which means he'll probably hit me with it now. Yeah, this fight is taking longer than normal because I don't think we have a ranger, so it is ridiculous how much faster things go when you've got a ranger in this game. Thankfully, as a bouncer, he does leave me a lot of moves that can counter off. It's kind of crazy because when they announced Zesh Raider was coming back, I wasn't really that bothered because in PSO2 I always kind of found him as a little bit of a forgettable boss. He was just kind of one that showed up now and again. You know, he was fine. I wasn't really too enthused about him coming back for NGS, but honestly, I think they've done a good job with him. I was kind of expecting they would just port over the fight exactly the same. I didn't really think they'd give him anything new. So it is nice to give him a few new attacks. Okay, he didn't really drop a whole lot that time, unfortunately. He is very stingy. Yeah, he just shows up now and again. He's like the main boss that can show up. I don't know exactly how it works. So I don't know if there's like a specific timer that he shows up at, or if you have to complete a certain amount of trials, or if it is just totally random. Also, thank you for the follow, KC as well. I've got Dragon X now as well. All the PSO dudes are coming back now. This guy does kind of have the Ruin color scheme, so you can see his body is kind of black. Again, this guy they did a pretty good job with as well. It does kind of feel like they've just thought, okay, everyone loves PSO2, let's just give them PSO2. I do want to point out that a lot of people have still complained about this, saying that now they're just using PSO2 stuff. And to that I would say, what do you want?
Success.
I think they'd already worked on Dragon X for a little bit there, so... He does have a few new moves as well, he just didn't really get to do any there. Another trial. If it's like the trial spawn constantly in this.
Trial start.
We've got the monkey boss. Yeah, I'm still trying to work out with the music for this area, if it is exactly the same as the PSO2 theme or if they have rearranged any of it. It feels very familiar, but I don't know if it's exactly the same or not. I'm quite interested to see what they do with the bosses going forward as well. So there is a boss getting added. I can't remember when the update is for now, but it was in the recent headline. It is essentially a version of Darkfall Solus, but it seems to be maybe like a harder version. So there are a class of enemies that were added to the game fairly recently called High Enemies, which are like massively buffed versions of the normal enemies. You know, they do huge damage. And it seems like we're starting to get high versions of some of the major bosses now as well. So the new one, I think they're calling it, I think it's called Soul's Crypt, which is basically like a massively buff version of Solus that seems to have loads of new moves. So I'm interested to see what it's like, because if it's just Solus with more damage, I won't be happy. If it's a very different fight, then I'm cool with that. Also, Zesh is showing up again. He's done the same as last time, so he didn't spawn for ages. And then spawned twice, more or less straight away. He really likes to spam the stamping move. But yeah, for someone who enjoys the lore of these games, I'm really, really interested to know why this Zesh Raider looks like a PSO2 one and not like the rest of the Rune enemies. There has to be a reason for it. I'm going to assume the reason is something like either it's built from data from Nibirius, or maybe this is a rift to Nibirius potentially. It's kind of hard to tell. We are just like completely theory crafting at this point. It would be nice if someone was Ranger. I seem to never run into them in this place. It's amazing how much difference a Ranger makes. Which again is kind of like PSO2. I don't know what happened there. I hit Fortnite and nothing happened. Yeah, I certainly don't think that NGS streams are going to be like a really, really common thing necessarily, but when there's a major update like this, I'm happy to I'll do a stream of it. Story-wise, it's a bit weird that it's just Nivirius that when we're trying to figure out the Alter Realm stuff. Yeah, I think all they've said so far in Praetorian is that it's some kind of dimensional rift that's appeared, and when you've gone through it, this is the area. I don't know if it's meant to be like a similar thing to Alter Realm or if it's something different. I guess that is one thing that does bug me a bit with NGS sometimes, where we'll get a content update like this and there'll be kind of no story explanation for it straight away. We might get an update that explains things later on. It would be nice if it sort of came with a story explanation. But you know, maybe they don't want us to know what this is yet. Maybe there is a reason why they're not telling us. I'm glad to see this area back though. It's kind of weird because when I played PSO2 Classic, like Ruins was never really an area I enjoyed that much. There's a lot of other areas I would prefer over this, but it's still kind of nice to see it back in NGS. Okay, I think he dropped a ring. Yes, he did. Yeah, so far from doing this stream, we've got, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 rings. 15-star knuckle and 2 14-star armors. Not bad. Yeah, like I said earlier, that there is a small chance for the 15 stars to drop fully grinded as well, which is really, really cool. I've had 1 drop fully grinded so far, which was the Partisan. But I do still wonder what the reason for that is. Whether it's just another incentive to keep running it, you know, and the chance you might get one fully upgraded. Or whether it is them kind of acknowledging the grinding system in this game just doesn't work that well. It wouldn't surprise me if we see it more often where we get more gear dropping fully grinded. So I said it earlier, but yeah, the grinding system in this game is miserable. Definitely not the worst we've had. You know what the worst is. But it is pretty awful though for the grinding. It's more just the repetitiveness and how long it takes. She's also very unbalanced as well, so when you're grinding a weapon in this game, if you've got something that's below 60, it will grind really, really quick up to 60, but then once it hits 60, it's like hitting a brick wall, and then from 60 to 100 takes forever. I do feel like they need to massively overhaul the way the grinding works. The other reason I say that as well is because one of the best ways of grinding at the minute is to basically make loads of other fodder weapons and then use those. And the way that you make them is like super convoluted. It just doesn't really work. So maybe those weapons dropping at plus 100 is a sign that maybe they realise that things aren't working that well. At the minute, I would just see it as a bonus, you know, so you don't have to deal with the grinding system. We do appear to have someone in this room who has auto chat set for basically everything they're doing. Yeah, overall I think I am relatively happy with this area. Again, it would have been maybe nice to have a bit more indication as to why this area suddenly appeared, but I'm honestly just glad to see NGS getting some good content. I think what is pretty telling as well is the fact that a lot of the NGS headlines now have had a message from the devs. So I think it was not last headline, but the one before. There was a message from the head of the dev team, and it was specifically a message targeted to global users, which was nice. You know, they acknowledged us. But it seems like pretty much every headline now we are getting some kind of feedback from the devs directly in the form of like an interview with them. It's usually, I think it's usually Hamazaki. It's just nice that they're actually doing that now, because I felt for ages that the NGS headlines were not particularly helpful in regards to relating to the community. Especially, I think, when the NGS headlines first started, particularly when it was Hero RI. I mean, nothing against Hero RI, but the way that the headlines were conducted, it was kind of done in this sort of forced way, as if it was like an official broadcast, and it was very, very soulless and didn't really acknowledge a lot of the concerns that the community had. Even there was a section where they were kind of responding to questions from the community, but it felt like they were extremely cherry-picked, and a lot of them were things that were not an issue. They would pick some like super irrelevant things to answer. Now, I think it's a bit better. We do have the feedback from the devs directly, and they do actually do a little segment now where they will like explain new content that's been added and go into like the dev process for it and everything, which is pretty cool. The only thing I would say is I still do feel that some of the questions that they choose to answer are still quite cherry-picked. Yeah, I do feel overall though that I think the dev team are listening a bit more now. One thing I do want to see though is I want to see this mag AI thing get added, because I want to see how it actually works. I don't know if you were here at the beginning, Drac, when I mentioned it, but basically the mag AI thing that they're adding, they added it and then almost immediately removed it, because of apparently some issues with the implementation of it. I don't know if it was like giving responses it shouldn't have or something, or if there was some other issue with it, but they more or less added it and then immediately removed it. I should stress as well, the mag AI system that they're adding, it is just a beta test at the minute. It's not actual full content at the moment. They are basically beta testing it on the live servers, so you can test it out. You can still do the quest to unlock the ability to get it, but you can't actually have a conversation with the AI at the minute. But yeah, I don't know what the reasoning was for it getting disabled, whether it was just like an issue with how it was implemented, or whether it was responding in ways it shouldn't have done. I mean, from what little I've seen of it, because I know a few people did manage to have some conversation with it before it got pulled. I think I was at work when it got added, so I never got a chance to. It seems like a fairly generic AI that the main purpose of it seems to be to respond to gameplay questions about PSO2. Which I can see a benefit to it. Again, I sort of touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you're a new player coming into NGS for the first time, it can be a bit confusing sometimes to know exactly what you're meant to be doing. So I guess having the AI there, if you can ask it a question, say like, you know, what area should I go to? You know, what content should I be focusing on? How do I grind my gear? That kind of stuff. Stuff that some of it could be in tutorials for sure, but I guess if you've got that AI there, I guess it's another way of helping those players out. The only issue is it's how much you implement the AI. If you just keep it like that, like a conversational AI about game questions, I'm not against it necessarily. I'm not a huge fan of AI at all, but I'm not necessarily against that kind of implementation. It's when it becomes more widespread that it becomes a problem. And I would imagine there's probably a lot of people misusing the AI as well. There was a very, very lengthy TOS agreement that you had to read before accessing the AI, which more or less said, don't be horny with it. Although hilariously, one of the parts of the TOS for it basically said you can't use the generative AI to generate, you know, lewd content unless it's for educational purposes. I don't know how PSO2 lewd content would be educational. Yeah, I will probably mess around with the AI once it does get re-added, if it gets re-added. Because I do want to see kind of what the limitations of it are, what it's mainly designed to be used for. And I would like to do a video on it as well, just to see whether I think it's a good idea overall and whether I think we need it. I almost kind of feel that the AI implementation, I almost kind of feel like they're testing it in PSO2 in preparation for other stuff. Like, I don't think it's going to be used in just PSO2. It would not surprise me if they take the details from the test in this and apply it to other games. Like, it would not surprise me in the slightest. But yeah, as of yet, I don't think there's a date for it getting reactivated again. I mean, I think the original test was only meant to be about a month long anyway. So yeah, as soon as I know more, I will let you guys know. Yeah, this trial's kind of weird, where it just replaces every enemy with a rare gold one. I mean, it's kind of good for getting materials, I guess, but I don't really get why it happens. Normally when I play this, I would do urgent quests. At the moment, I mentioned this a little bit at the start, but the urgent quests at the moment in the game are not particularly worth doing. We're kind of in a bit of a down period for the urgent quests while we wait for that Soul's Crypt to get added. There is still some benefit to doing them because I think you do get tickets for the current event scratch. But none of them are really worth doing for item drops or anything. I honestly think that if there was a new online Phantasy Star game, that would be one thing I would probably change. I've never been a huge fan of how the urgent quests work in PSO2 or in NGS. I just don't like the idea of them being on like a timer, so you kind of know when they're going to be added. I'm not saying there should be random times or anything, but I think for me, I would just rather there wasn't such a thing as an urgent quest. And I kind of dislike the ability to be able to fight the Dark Falls bosses when I want to. I know you can in some of the 4-player quests. But yeah, I've just never been a massive fan of how the urgent system works. It was a cool idea at the time, but I just don't think it works that well. Loved your PSO starter guide video. Oh, thanks very much for that. I hope it was useful. Yeah, speaking of videos, I did add a new one today, actually. I know, I can't believe it myself. But yeah, I did. It was the next in the series of the hunting in the Uber Rares, the PSO, which focuses on the Psycho Wand. So if you want to hunt a Psycho Wand, go and watch that video. There will be an NGS video at some point, again, whenever they sort this AI thing out. I will do a video on it, but I don't know when that is yet. I just want to point out, this guy here, this boss, Varus. So this guy was introduced at the start of NGS. He has literally not shown up in a quest for probably 1 or 2 years at least. And then they just randomly brought him back in this quest. When I first did this and I saw him, my initial sort of reaction was, oh, I actually forgot you existed. But yeah, Finny, so regarding the PSO stuff, I normally, when I stream, I normally do 2 streams a week. Usually the Wednesday stream is something not Fantasy Star, so at the minute I'm playing through Chrono Trigger. The Sunday stream is nearly always Fantasy Star related, but I play more or less anything in the Fantasy Star franchise, so today it's NGS, you know, it'll be probably a different one next week. But we do play quite a lot of PSO. It's the same with videos as well. I do try and sort of vary the videos around the franchise. Very high quality, you're too kind. Yeah, my videos have the least editing you've ever seen. And I will own that. I am not good at editing videos. I respect anyone who can do like flashy transitions and everything in their videos, because I don't know how to do that. Yeah, Chrono Trigger's been really, really fun so far. It's my first time ever playing it. But yeah, really, really enjoying that game so far. It has a great sense of humor as well.
Success.
Oh, have we got Zeshrader again? We do.
Trial start.
Yeah, basically, the way I got around to doing Chrono Trigger was on the Wednesday streams, I did a run through of all of the classic Phantasy Star JRPGs, so the main ones anyway, so like Phantasy Star 2, Phantasy Star 3, Phantasy Star 4. And once I finished those, I was looking for like other games to play. And thought it'd be a pretty good idea to kind of stick with like JRPGs. And I've never played Chrono Trigger before, and I know it's loved by a lot of people, so we're now doing it for the first time. So far in the playthrough, again, no story spoilers, please, but so far I have just done the first fight against Magus. And we've now gone back to, I think it was like 65 million BC I've gone back to now. The first PSO was New Genesis. Just got kind of overwhelmed, but the combat is super fun. Yeah, I really like the combat in this. I know some people say it's kind of dumbed down a bit from PSO2. I think it's just different. I totally get why you get super overwhelmed though. There is kind of a lot going on. In this and in base game PSO2, they throw a lot of stuff at you. I will continue to say that I think base game PSO2 is probably one of the least friendly games in the franchise for new players, because there's so much going on. Again, I'm not saying it's a bad game, it isn't. But there's just so much going on with that game. It's kind of overwhelming for a brand new player. Nice to see someone who started the Fantasy Stars with NGS, though. Out of curiosity, have you played any of the other Fantasy Stars? Or is it just NGS? So many counters off that. Oh, he hit me with the arm swipe finally. Well done. He's hit me with everything, actually. That's why I like PSO BB, because it's so straightforward. Yeah. PSO 1 is amazing. I will always stand that game. Doesn't really matter which version you play PSO 1, they're all really good. Blueburst is probably like the definitive one though, so I think as someone who's new to PSO, Blueburst is probably the one I'd recommend. And you know, obviously it has the advantage of having very active private servers, so... Played through the first Phantasy Star game on the Master System. Good hallway geometry going on there. Yeah, the first one's really good. I played through the Nintendo Switch version of it, the Sega Ages one. That is a really good version of it as well. I would say if you said that you like JRPGs, definitely consider playing the other Phantasy Star JRPGs. I got encouraged to do it, and I'm so happy I did. 2 is very, very good. 3 is a little bit rough, but is probably fine for a single playthrough. 4 is amazing. 4 is legitimately one of the best games I've ever made. There's so many ring drops. Unfortunately, no more weapons yet. Is there a main story quest line in PSO? Yes, so it depends on what version you're playing. So on Blueburst, yes. On the previous versions, not really. So on the older versions like Dreamcast and GameCube and so on, the way the story used to work was you would basically run around the maps and there were like message capsules left behind by one of the main characters. And you would basically just read the message capsules and kind of put things together. There were side story quests as well that would kind of fill in some of the blanks. But a lot of it was kind of left up to you to sort of work out what was going on. With Blueburst, they added what are called government quests. So the downside of the government quests is that they're only playable in the multiplayer. So I don't know if you've noticed, but when you make a game in Blueburst, you can select either normal or one-person mode. So what one-person mode does is it basically weakens down the enemies a little bit for you, just so it's a bit easier to play single player. But the government quests, for some reason, they only did them in normal mode, which is like the multiplayer strength enemies. They do tell the story of PSO. However, you do still have the message capsules as well. So if you want to go that way, you can still do it by the message capsules. I do also have a full video series of the entire story of PSO as well. Well, of episode 1, 2, and 4 anyway. 3 is a whole different beast. I mean, for me, I started with PSO GameCube, so for me, I got the story through the message capsules originally. And there is enough from the message capsules to kind of put things together. But if you want more specific details, then the government quest will give you that. Just bear in mind, the enemies will be like multiplayer strength, so... You can be watching the video ASAP. Yeah, I think it's about 19 videos, I think it is, that covers all of episode 1, all of episode 2, and all of episode 4. 3, I don't know if you're aware, but 3 is like a completely different game, so that is like a collectible card game. It still has a very good story, but it's a very different beast. Thank you so much, Phil. The PSO players are literally the nicest people ever. I think what it is, a lot of people who played PSO back then, you know, when it was new, a lot of us are still playing it now because we love the game so much, and we just want to like get people into the game and get them to experience it. It's never going to be for everyone, you know. Some people will find it very, very janky and clunky, which it is, but it's a very, very special game. Which server are you playing on? I think the most popular one is probably Affinia. But there are other ones. I don't know what the other ones are like, but probably worth checking out. But Affinia has a very solid player base. There's another wall there. So apparently I can like double jump like 30 feet in the air, but I can't walk over a ledge that big. Yeah, I think with PSO we are very, very lucky as well in that we have a community that is very supportive of the game and will do everything to keep it online. You know, the fact that you can still literally play Dreamcast PSO online says a lot. Affinia is what you're playing on, nice. Yeah, that is a fantastic server. Just so you know, because I don't know how long you've been playing Blueburst for, on Affinia, they do a big event. Well, they do events several times a year, but the main one is the anniversary event, so the anniversary of the server, which is in August, so it's not too far off. That is a huge event normally. That'll be fantastic for leveling characters, for finding stuff. They are changing it a bit this year, but that will probably be the best time to play PSO. I think with the appreciation of Y2K aesthetics trending, many people are looking at PSO as a cool artifact. Oh yeah, for sure. There isn't really much else that looks like it. And again, you know, PSO was, you know, massively revolutionary game when it launched. You know, the impact that game has on online RPGs is incredible. I mean, I really don't know how many hours I've put into PSO now. I'm scared to think how many hours I put in. It's just one of those games that there's not many games like it, but PSO is one of those games that I just do not get bored of. Even if I get burned out, I'll take like, even if it's like a couple of months break from it, and then I want to go back and play it again. I just do not get bored of it. Which is crazy when you think about it, how simple the game is. You know, it's only a handful of areas. You know, it's quite simple combat, but I just don't get bored of it. I think a lot of that is nostalgia because it's, you know, it's what I grew up with. So apparently there's a wall there as well. Yeah, a lot of it is definitely nostalgia. I know, I guess people who didn't play it back then, some of them will probably look at it and think it's a very old-fashioned, clunky game. A lot of people probably wouldn't find it fun because of how rare some of the stuff is. That is one thing I have always found funny about this series, where with NGS, I know a lot of people were complaining about the Lexio weapons and how rare they were. And I just find it very, very amusing as someone who played PSO and knowing how rare some of the stuff in that game is. That you've never lived till you've tried hunting some of the stuff in PSO. It's literally my second day ever playing it. Watched a video yesterday and downloaded it immediately. Nice. First of all, thank you for watching the video, and I'm very, very glad it got you to try PSO out. You know, even if someone watched the video and then didn't like the game when they played it, that's totally fine, but at least you tried it. But if I can get someone in actually playing the game, that is fantastic. I would also say as well, I do want to give a shout out to the other Phantasy Star creators as well. You know, there are lots of other people who do Phantasy Star content as well. You know, I know Void Money that was in chat earlier. He does a lot of Phantasy Star content. There's also Sky's Not the Limit. It does some really good content as well. There are a lot of great content creators for Phantasy Star. I'm just an old dude who likes PSO too much and wanted to rant about it to everyone else. And I've somehow managed to keep that going for several years now. And the only thing I would say about my channel is it's very much based on like long form content. So if you want short videos, my channel is probably not the one for it. I have a habit of sort of ranting and going on about things and ending up with a really long video. I mean, some people prefer that. This guy is being a real pain. Where he is on the map at the minute, I can't really get to his weak point. He is kind of cheating. Ah, there we go. I can get it from here. Oh, can I? Oh, he's moved, thankfully.
Success.
Yeah, I would also say as well, if you are new to Phantasy Star as well, definitely check out some of the games as well. The way the franchise is, a lot of the games play very, very differently. And a lot of the games are very well supported as well, whether it's officially or through private servers. I'm here for it. Long form is authentic, don't change a thing. Yeah, I know some people love long form content. I did get one comment recently. I can't remember what video it was on now.
Success.
I think it was on the Section ID video that I did. And that video is like an hour long or something. And someone left a comment that was something like, it's an hour long video on Section IDs. How damn complicated is this game? You want to explore each of the MMOs? Yeah, I mean, obviously, so this is the most recent one. This launched in 2021. But yeah, for the online ones, you've got a few options. So yeah, you've got different versions of PSO. You've got Phantasy Star Universe. For Universe, there is a private server called Clementine, so you can play that online. There's the portable games on PSP. There's the DS game, Zero. There is a lot of Phantasy Star. And then you've obviously got the classic JRPGs as well.
Success. Trial start.
I mean, for me, you know, PSO will always be my go-to. If I want to just like sit down, play for a bit, I'll probably go to PSO BB. That's just always been my favorite in that regard. I think Phantasy Star 4 is my favorite overall Phantasy Star, but obviously that's the kind of game where you play it through once and then maybe check back in and do another playthrough now and again. Could use the cannon, but I'll probably wait for Zeshraid at spawn for that. Because of my recent rabbit hole of playing PSO and Affinia, I went down the rabbit hole of getting .hacked fragments set up, and Section ID has nothing on fragment character creation. I'm not familiar with .hacked, but if it's more complicated than Section IDs, then I'm terrified. That is probably a good point actually as well. If you've just started playing Bluebirds recently, I would probably recommend watching the Section ID video I did. Section IDs are very, very important, and the game doesn't really tell you about it at all. It's not really something that has much of an effect until like higher level, but I would definitely consider looking into Section IDs, or even look on the Affinia wiki and read up about them, because they have a big impact on things you can find later. Of course, the game just doesn't tell you any of that. The width and the height of the character during character creation depends on how more physical or magical your character is. I mean, I get it. God, ran straight into that one. My character is Greenhill and I'm a human hunter. Forgot the technical term for it. Is it a male or female hunter? If it's human, it's probably Humar. If it's the elf woman, then it's Hunuel. Also, thank you for the follow, Finny, as well. Greenhill, so Greenhill, I think it's often referred as like a ranger ID because it gets quite a lot of range drops. But it also has some just really useful general drops overall as well, so it is a very strong ID. Also, thank you for the Prime sub as well, that's really kind of you. Thanks to you, I've become addicted to PSO BB and I've been loving your videos. I mean, I'm very glad to hear that about the videos, and I'm sorry that you've got addicted to PSO. You're here forever now. Pop off, King. Thank you very much. But yeah, for Greenhill, again, for weapons, it tends to be thought of as more of a ranger ID. But it gets some really, really strong drops in ultimate difficulty. It is a very, very good ID overall. I decided to stick with a Rimal for my first solo character, but I'll spend the next week with 50% experience glued to my screen. Yeah, this is the best week for leveling, so again, for those who are new to Affinia, I like how we're talking about PSO when I'm playing NGS, but I'm here for it. On Affinia, basically the way it works is there is a 4 weekly rotating boost. So last week we had rare drop boost, so that you're more likely to get rare drops. This week, until next Sunday, so like from today until next Sunday, is experience boost week, so you get 50% more experience than anything. There is also a system on Affinia called the Ragdoll Boost Road. So what that does is every week it will pick 3 quests. So it picks 1 quest from episode 1, 1 from episode 2, and 1 from episode 4. And those quests will have increased experience, increased rare drop rate, and so on. And that stacks with the weekly boost. But yeah, this week, if you're leveling characters, this is a great week for it.
Success.
All character is like green, including the section ID crest thing. My dude's name is Moss.exe, it felt like fate. Yeah, basically, in a very, very simple nutshell, that the section IDs essentially influence the items that enemies can drop as their rares. Again, the game does not tell you that at all. And the name is the section ID is influenced by your character class and your name. On the older versions of PSO, it was just your I think it was just your name on the older versions that affected it. But on Blue Burst, it's your character class as well. Yeah, nice. Like the Raymal is a very, very strong solo class, so if that is your first solo character, they are really good. They're a little weak early on. You'll probably struggle a little bit early on because they don't have a massive amount of health. They're not particularly strong attack power or anything, but they are incredibly good later on. Music is crazy good. Yeah, one thing you'll discover quite quickly is that Fantasy Star generally has really, really good soundtracks in pretty much every single game. I mean, this music is from PSO2 Classic, because this is a PSO2 area. But yeah, very, very good soundtracks overall. It's my first character, so I decided to go with the more solo-focused one. Haven't really integrated in the community yet. I mean, I will say as well, anytime I stream PSO, I am always open to playing with people. I know I typically stream it during Rare Drop Week, but I will, at some point, I will try and do an Experience Week stream for PSO to help people level as well. But also, my Discord server that I have as well, we do obviously arrange games on there as well. So if you haven't joined the Discord, I do have a Discord server you can join. On YouTube, it should be in the video description, and on Twitch, it should be, there's like a section underneath the video player. There should be a link to it there.
Success.
I made a room and some absolute chads joined and showed me the ropes and got me to join the guild. Yeah, generally people are really sort of welcoming to new players for Afinia. But probably the same on the other servers as well, to be fair. For what it's worth, the guild stuff in Blueburst doesn't really do a whole lot.
Success.
It's not like something you have to do. It basically gives you access to... There's a couple of quests you can run. Although, as long as someone is in a guild, then you can start the quests. It lets you have like a little team flag. There is a little team chat window you can use as well, but yeah, it's quite a basic system overall. But yeah, seriously, like, anytime I play PSO, if you see me in game as well, feel free to say hi, and I'm always down to help people out. I mean, that goes for any of the games, to be fair, but it's just I probably play PSO the most. I mean, I say that. I play NGS the most off stream, because I do play this game a few times a week off stream. But for stream games, it's probably PSO the most. And I still play PSO a lot off stream as well. I am hopelessly addicted to these games. And I want more people to be the same. I mean, one thing I would say particularly about PSO is if you are interested in a game where you have lots of like gear to try and find and like hunting rare items, I don't think there are many games that come close to PSO for that. Do I have a video like my PSO one for New Genesis? What, like a beginner's guide? I do. It wasn't too long ago that I did it, so most of it is probably still up to date. There will be a couple of things that have been added since. For example, like the EX styles is like a little extra thing that was added. I don't know if that's in that video, because I think that was added after video. But that doesn't have a huge impact on it. If you want the absolute basics of the game, then it should be good enough. There is other creators that have done beginner guides as well. I know there is another creator called Kathy. I think Kathy has recently done a beginner's guide for it as well. They are very, very good content creator as well. But yeah, I did a beginner's guide. I'm trying to think how long ago it was now. I want to say, what, maybe a year? I try and do a beginner's guide for most of the online Fantasy Star games. Like, I did one for Universe as well. Because ultimately, I said this like when I started the channel, the main point of this channel is to try and get people to experience these games. And to do that, you need to get new people in. And getting new people in to a game that doesn't really explain much is quite difficult. So I try to make it a bit easier. Whether I do or not is up for you to decide, but trying to experience classic games, I think right now is a good time to jump into previous generations. I mean, it depends how far you want to go back. I mean, if you go back to the classic RPGs, a lot of those are quite self-explanatory for the most part, in terms of like how the game systems work anyway. I want to make a distinction on that because, particularly with Phantasy Star 1, that game just does not tell you what to do sometimes. Never heard of Universe. What systems was it on? So it's from about 2006. It launched on, it was PC, PS2, and Xbox 360. It had its own offline story. Well, sort of. It had its first episode of story was offline, and then the other episodes were online. It launched, so it was PC, PS2. The online servers were basically, they were shared for PC and PS2, but then Xbox 360 was its own separate server. It's a totally new story compared to PSO, so it's its own system and everything. So if you're looking for one to just pick up to start with, then Universe is a pretty good one. There is also the PSP games as well, so the PSP games take place in the same universe as Universe. They are also fantastic games and well worth looking into. Yeah, I mentioned it a bit earlier, but if you want to play Universe, there is a private server for it, which is Clementine. It's not like PSO, unfortunately, where there's loads of different private servers. To my knowledge, there is only one for PSU, but it is still worth checking out. It's a fun game. Again, I personally prefer PSO, but I still enjoy PSU. Yeah, Universe has some cool stuff in it as well. So it introduced a new race. So it brought the Beast race in, which we're then kind of never seen again. And it also brought things like racial abilities in as well. So you had castes, which is like the android characters. They had an ability where they could summon these huge weapons from orbit. And then beasts could transform into like a more bestial form. It's a really cool game. It was not liked when it released. It didn't review well or anything when it launched, but I like it. But it's one of those things where, like, if I had to choose one Phantasy Star game to keep and play forever, it would probably be PSO. But I do still like PSU. To be fair, there's not many Phantasy Star games I don't like. I would be clueless without your videos. I'm glad they're useful. Also as well, I will say, if you ever have an idea for something that I haven't covered on the channel, please let me know. I am always open to suggestions as well. So if there's something that you're really struggling with in one of the games and I haven't done a video on it, let me know and I'll try and do what I can. Easiest way to do that is probably on the Discord, so I do have like a channel suggestions part on the Discord. So yeah, just let me know on there if there's anything. Oh, the range on that is crazy. Did Universe have a paid subscription? It did back in the day, yeah. So again, I don't know how much you know about it, but so PSO, most of the versions of PSO had a paid subscription back in the day when it was like the official servers. It was called a hunter's license. You basically paid it every month to be able to access the online. And Universe was kind of the same. So Universe used what they called a Guardian's license, which was more or less the same thing. It was only really when they got to PSO2 that they changed the payment model. So obviously PSO2 is free to play, but with microtransactions. Although to be fair, the Japanese version of PSU actually had subscription and microtransactions. I don't think we ever got the microtransactions on the Western version. I think I did that for PSU because it was on 360. Yeah, I think on 360, I don't know a whole lot about the 360 version because I played on PC. I don't know if you needed Xbox Live for it as well. So I don't know if you had to pay for Xbox Live and the subscription. People have told me that before and I always forget. Because I know that a lot of people for the Xbox version just played the demo over and over again. There was like a massive population on the demo for PSU, and every time the characters got wiped, they would just make new ones. Yeah, one thing I would say about PSU is PSO was a game where even if you didn't have access to the online, it still kind of held up as an offline game as well. There was still kind of a decent amount to do offline. Except Blueburst, because Blueburst was online only. With PSU was like a much harder recommendation if you were offline only, because the offline component of that game was very weak. It was very sort of stripped back. I feel like you almost had to play it online to get a decent experience from it. I mean, for what it's worth, I mean, the subscription back in the day, it wasn't that expensive. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I don't remember it costing that much. And this was back in the day where a lot of online games had subscriptions, so it wasn't kind of an unusual thing. I just remember signing up for the subscription, getting to the lobby and never playing the game. So that's the issue with these games. You see, the lobby is basically like a huge chat room, and a lot of people just never escape the lobbies. There was always a joke that people made about PSO back when that was active, saying that it was basically a chat room with the game attached. Because the social aspect of PSO was always a very, very strong part of it. And a lot of people would just sit and chat in the lobbies and not really do much else. Oh, we got Dragon X again. He doesn't spawn that often, so...
Trial start.
Yeah, I feel with PSO that it's a very easy game to recommend if you're into a specific kind of game. If you like sort of looter games where you're trying to get the best gear and hunting loads of really rare stuff, PSO is a fantastic game for that. What you're working on right now in this game, combat looks nuts compared to my level. So at the moment, this area is mainly for we're collecting materials. So there's a few weapon series you can get from upgrading, which you need a lot of materials for. So this is really good for farming those materials. It can also drop some 15-star weapons, which are the current highest rarity in the game. So that's kind of the main reason we're doing it at the moment. So during the stream, I have had one 15-star weapon drop so far, which is this one. Yeah, the combat in NGS, you'll probably find as you play more that it's very, very counter heavy. A lot of classes have like a very accessible counter. This class in particular is very good for it as well because this class has the unique ability to be able to counter like mid combo. So I can be doing a photon art and counter halfway through it, which a lot of classes can't do. They would kind of cancel out of the photon art. The flip side to this class is that it is one of the lower DPS classes though, for sure. Yeah, this class is bouncer. So it's soaring blades, which is these like twin blades. And it also has jet boots, but I never use them. I feel that jet boots need a bit more of a buff. They feel a little bit weak to me at the minute. Thanks for the stream, Sky. Gotta leave. No worries, Parkins. Good to see you as well. Yeah, if you're on PSO anytime, we can do some runs. Yeah, man, I guess I can show the jet boots quickly. So jet boots, they're, as the name suggests, they go on your feet, and you primarily kick with them. They're okay. I'm not a massive fan of how they play. The other thing as well, the other reason I use the dual blades is because this character is a character I made originally in PSO Blue Burst, and she was my Hunuel, and she used this exact weapon actually in PSO Blue Burst. So I've always kind of used dual blades with her if I can. Even better, the Grand Illusions can drop with full grind and level 5 fixer. It's always blaster for most weapons, but they made it Terminator if you get a max gunblade. It is really nice. Yeah, I've had one plus 100 drop so far, which was the Partisan. Most of the other ones I've found have been plus 60. But yeah, it is really, really nice that you can get them at full grind. It takes so much more work out of it. I guess there's still a bit of work you can do on the augments because they're not best in slot augments by any means, but yeah, it's a nice change. Man, I'm playing terrible today. Use Fixer Blaster. Yeah, Blaster is a really good fixer. I think Blaster is the one that just buffs photon blast damage, isn't it? Yeah, it is very nice. There, you can see how much damage those guys do. That hit me for 1500. I play as a ranger, but I guess I swap between that and gunner. Class system confuses me a bit. Yeah, so the easiest way to describe how the class system works is, you'd probably be aware if you played for a little bit. You basically have a main class and a subclass. So your main class, you can use all of the abilities from it, use all the weapons from it. The subclass, you can use the weapons from it, and you can use some of the skills. There are certain skills on your skill tree that are locked to main class only. I mean, so at the moment I'm playing Bouncer Fighter, so I can obviously use the Bouncer weapons. I could also use the Fighter weapons if I wanted to. So I could use like Double Saber, Knuckles, Daggers. But there are certain fighter skills that I'm not able to use because I'm not main class fighter. Jet boots are neat, but I feel like they're lacking in aerial consistency. They tend to drop out of the sky during certain animations, yeah. Tech does love Blaster. Yeah, I'm not surprised. The one Photon Blast is very nice. Yeah, I should also stress as well that if you are leveling, you don't need to level your subclass separately to an extent. So as you play, you will get experience for both your main and subclass. The only restriction is that your subclass will cap at a slightly lower level. So at the minute, you can see I'm level 120 on Bouncer and I'm 115 on Fighter. My Fighter experience won't go up any more than that unless I go to main class Fighter. For some reason, they made it so that your sub stops getting experience when it's 5 levels lower than your main. I love how random the turtle boss spawns. Feels less stale than it spawns every 15 minutes after filling a bar like in the Ultra Realm. It's kind of weird. So in this stream, it took ages for the first one to spawn, and then it spawned more or less twice in a row, and then we got the same thing happen again later. I was saying earlier though, I do actually like Zeshrader in this. I feel like they're giving him enough new stuff to make him feel a bit refreshing. He still feels very much like Zeshrader, but I think they've done enough to make it feel different enough. He's in a very awkward position there. Can't see a thing. Yeah, Finny, as a ranger, the most important thing I would say as ranger really is make sure in your skill tree that you unlock blight rounds. Blight rounds are incredibly useful. It's basically a target you put on an enemy, and anyone that attacks that target does massively increase damage. So yeah, make sure you get blight rounds. Predictions on which next zones they will port and which 2 ones you want. So we've got Nibirius Ruins. Again, we don't know if it is Nibirius, but it looks like Nibirius Ruins. Apologies if I get the name wrong as well. It's Nibirius or Nivirius. I can't remember what it was on the Japanese version. I can't remember what to call it on this version. It's one of the two. I think it's very likely we're going to get more areas. I'd be very surprised if we just got this one area and nothing else. So I think we'll get more. And I predict that the next one we get will be a different planet area. I don't think they'll give us another Nibirius area. I think it'll be either somewhere from Lilipa or somewhere from Amduskia maybe. As for where it would be though, I mean, you could also do Vorpal or Harakatan as well. I kind of feel they'll probably stick to the original 3 planets though for the most part. I'm trying what areas. So if we're Amduskia, I mean, floating islands would be an easy one because we already have Quartz Dragon essentially. So that would be very easy. Maybe to bring back a Vorpal course, then every day is Roadaster. Yeah, we all get sucked back into the same client order spam again. Tokyo with tanks and helicopters and T-Rexes will be funny. That was such a fever dream when it first got added to PSO2. I don't mind episode 4 though. I think it was interesting at least. Yeah, as for what 2 areas I'd like to see come back, honestly, part of me kind of wants Amduskia Caves just because I really, really like Voldragon. I loved Voldragon in PSO2. I think a lot of that, again, hails back to when I played the alpha test. Because I played the second alpha test for PSO2 Japan when it released. And the hardest thing you could do in the game at that point was Voldragon. And everyone just got destroyed by Voldragon. So I've always kind of liked Voldragon. I would like to see him back. I know he's a simple boss, but I will never not love the Train Gadaran boss. So interesting thing about that. So again, those who followed the channel for a while will know this, but so well, first of all, I went to Japan in 2016, which was when episode 4 was on, and a lot of the electronic shops were showing PSO2 Ep4 at the time, which was kind of weird. So you were seeing PSO2 Tokyo and all these monitors in the shops while walking through Tokyo, which was kind of strange. But then I went again last year in November. And I actually went to... So if you play PSO2, you'll know there's like a boss arena where you fight Train Ghidorah. And that boss arena is based on a real place. It is based on it's the Marunouchi entrance of Tokyo Station. And I went there and I took photos of it. And yeah, it's kind of weird because you've got the station with the huge courtyard in front of it. You're basically standing in a PSO2 boss arena. It was a very surreal moment. You're just kind of waiting for a voice to come out of nowhere and go, emergency code Jewel. Did I chill in Akihabara? I did. Both times I went to Akihabara. I always make time to go to Akihabara and spend far too much money there. It's a dangerous place, man. Yes, last time I went to... There was a retro game store there called Super Potato. They're kind of infamous, one for having some very expensive retro games, but also for just the sheer selection of stuff in there is insane. And I actually got a Japanese copy of Phantasy Star 2 and 3 from there. It's like I've barely touched PSO BB and all the other games also sound so cool. All it means is you're just going to play a lot more Phantasy Star. Oh, it was very, very trippy, yeah, like standing in a literal PSO2 boss arena. Yeah, and last time I went, I got super lucky though, because I happened to be there when the PSO 25th anniversary merch was on as well. So there was these pop-up shops for the PSO 25th anniversary with loads of merch. And I happened to be there at the right time for it. So lucky. When you said when you hit 185, you're halfway to 200 is insane. How am I supposed to do that in every PSO game? They're not all like that. So PSO, you are correct. So on PSO, I think it's... I think a 183? 183 is technically 50% towards 200. It is very stacked towards the last few levels. For what it's worth though, at higher level in PSO, your stat increases per level are very, very low. So at 180, you'll be pretty much as strong as a 200 anyway, to be honest. PSU is, you level very fast in PSU on Clementine until you get to about 190, and then 190 you slow down a lot. This game, you level stupidly fast. Isn't the battleship boss based on a real one? So it's called Battleship Yamato. There was a Japanese battleship called Yamato. You're playing PSO2 before it became NGS. Haven't tried NGS. It's fun enough. I will say it's a very divisive game. A lot of people really don't like it. A lot of people just prefer PSO2, which is totally fine. I would say if you like PSO2, give it a shot. If you don't like it, then PSO2 is still there. I think we'll probably do the Zesh Raider, I think, and then we might end after that, I think. But we'll see. It's kind of crappy that in order to play PSO2, you need to install NGS and then go through NGS to play it. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of cool to an extent in that you have both games in the same client, essentially. But it is a shame for those who only want to play PSO2 Classic. Yeah, I do get that. the way they did it, for anyone who doesn't know, is so you have to download NGS, and then the PSO2 base game is essentially a free DLC. So you basically have to download that, and then you go to one of the Ryuka devices or one of the teleporters in PSO2, and you can swap between them. 20k cannon is good to shredding the boss. Do you know what? We haven't used the cannon yet. Let's do that. Okay, there we have cannon. So yeah, you can spend 20,000 points to get this cannon, which you can either rapid fire it, you can use homing missiles. It also has a huge laser shot as well, which I will try and do if he falls down. You can also fly around on it. I totally didn't realize I had PSO2 downloaded then. If it's on Steam, check your DLC. I think it's called PSO2 Data. If you have PSO2 Data installed, then you've got PSO2 base game. Is base game still active? I haven't played either version, only PSO1, but was curious about trying them. There are still people who play PSO2 Classic. I would say the population it's fairly small. It's kind of like dedicated players mainly that play it. But if you want to experience it, I mean, the game honestly is pretty easy to play either on your own or with a friend or two. It's only really once you get to like a really high level that some of it you might want to party up for. If you just want like a general experience of what the game's like, then... Also, I was totally meant to do the cannon there. Let's do it now because I'm about to run out of cannon. There we go. Yeah, I would say there's enough people to be able to play, but it is definitely quite quiet. So I think what you have to bear in mind is obviously because the clients are linked, a lot of people will kind of log on, they'll do the NGS dailies, and then they might switch over to PS2 Classic for a bit. Character looks like she's from Timeout. This is an assassin outfit that got added recently. Again, I don't know what assassins dress like this. But yeah, this is a new outfit. It's not the one I normally wear, it's just because it's one of the new outfits that got added. That's one thing I will say about this game and PSO2. The fashion game is incredible. Like, this game legitimately has one of the best character creators I've ever seen. And the amount you can customize your character is ridiculous. Oh, we got a drop of some kind. Oh, we got another Grand Illusion. There we go. We got another 15 star. Only plus 60 again, but yeah, we got the wand. So we got something. Next minute is new story. I honestly can't remember. I did watch the headline and I've totally forgot what's in the next update. I think there is like a mini episode coming soon. So what I'll do is I will abandon out of this. You can do almost anything with the character creator. I spent the last few games playing as Yakumo from Ninja Gaiden 4. Yeah, there's a lot of people who cosplay characters from other games, actually. In PSO1, what determines your character looks, or is there no fashion game? So when you first make your character, there are different like sliders you can choose from. It's like different colors if you're an android, or different outfit colors. And there's different hairstyles you can select when you make a character. The only other way to change it in PSO1, on Blue Burst at least, is if you join a team, there is a unlock that teams can get to unlock the dressing room. And then basically when you log into your character, there'll be an option for dressing room so you can change it. Yeah, it's not bad, yeah, considering how limited the game is, and how low poly the models are. There's quite a few color options. But yeah, I mean, this game is insane though. I mean, I'm trying to what my favorite outfit is at the minute. Where is it? There is one outfit I wear quite a lot on this character. If I can find it. There it is. Yeah, I love this outfit. It's meant to be like Oni themed. It's very cool. So what I'll do is, because I know there's people in chat who are interested in seeing how you get to PSO2, I'll just show you how you transfer to PSO2 Classic. So first of all, make sure you've got the data downloaded. And then from NGS, what you do is at any of these devices here, you access them, go and teleport. Sorry, not teleport. It is block transfer, sorry. And in block transfer, you've got all the different NGS blocks here. And then right at the top, it says transfer to a PSO2 block. So if I press on that and go yes, it'll go black screen for a bit. I'm guessing this is essentially like suspending NGS and then loading PSO2 Classic. And then this brings you into PSO2 Classic. So now I'm in Classic. And you see, so for those who was asking what the population's like, you can see there is like a smattering of people in the lobbies. It's not bad. It's nowhere near as populated as it used to be, obviously, but there are some people around. And then to get back to NGS, if you want to know how to do that, go to any of the teleporters here. And it's the same thing, transfer to a PSO2 NGS block. That outfit would look like at home in Harakatan. It would. Remember in the GameCube version, you could load up the game with 10,000 in your wallet and you'd have the option to select it. Yeah, they changed how it worked in Blue Burst. So on like GameCube and Xbox and so on, it was just 10,000 Mazzetti you needed, and then you could change outfit. Yeah, your characters are shared, yeah. So if you've got an NGS character, you can just carry them over to Classic. Obviously, your classes and everything won't. So the classes in PS2 Classic are their own thing. So I don't know if you noticed, but when I transferred over there, this character was level 1 because I would never use this character in Classic. So your progression is different in Classic, but you use the same character. And anything you unlock, so any outfits or anything, you carry them over between the two games. So yeah, there is that sort of transfer between the two. But yeah, I think we'll probably end things there for today, I think. Gone for quite a while, done like a good 3 hours in Ruins, so I'm about ready to finish there. So there will be a stream on Wednesday, as far as I'm aware. I don't think there's any reason there won't be. So we'll probably be doing some more Chrono Trigger then. Next Sunday, I don't know what game we're playing yet. It obviously will be a Phantasy Star game. I need to think of what I haven't played for a little while. It definitely won't be NGS, we'll do something different. I think it'll be drop all rate week next weekend, so maybe PSO, possibly. But yeah, Chrono Trigger on Wednesday first, and then some kind of Phantasy Star at the weekend. Again, if you have enjoyed the stream, just remember I do have a Discord server you can join. Again, should be in the description on YouTube and should be underneath the video player on Twitch, so feel free to join us over there if you haven't already. If you haven't already, it is really appreciated if you either like the video on YouTube or subscribe if you feel like it. You can also follow us up on Twitch as well. I really appreciate the support, and it does help the channel as well. I do also have a X and a Bluesky as well, so I tend to update things on there as well. So feel free to follow on there. Also, yeah, thanks for the support today as well, for all the follows and for the subscriptions as well. Really appreciate it. And again, if you want me to cover anything in particular, just leave it in the server suggestions on my Discord and I will kind of review it when I can. Yeah, hopefully see you guys on Wednesday for some Chrono Trigger. So whatever you're doing, have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you guys on Wednesday. See you guys.